I've made a huge mistake. Watch this.
An impact, and whether you're able to hit them or not. And we kind of have a bit of a bigger legend meta right now. Used to have a smaller one. You used to even see Lifeline around here every now and then, but that is some legends past. In fact, seems like it's a legend. Couldn't have even really happened. I don't think Lifeline and competitive have been mentioned in the same sentence in a couple of years. But hey, neither is Fuse, right? So anything can happen.
Look at the angle, look at the cover that Furia was able to get with this rotation. I think they took over.
That's good.
Maybe it might have been CLG's spot here. And I know Dia was earlier describing them as this team as a bunch of mad scientists. They just come up with strange stuff, and it either works or it doesn't. But right now, well, you've been
attention
hoping
to the
for
right.
See Furia take advantage with this interesting Fuse composition working off right now as Pandux just absolutely shredding right there. And I think that was, who was that who was trying to go right behind them? Davis Wave getting eliminated.
And this should be it. I mean, this is just absolute domination. I have never seen an easier circle, a gift from the gods. Furia, they're going to take the win. Fuse will be your champion here in Game 4. I never thought I'd say that this week.
Horizon and Fuse.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am very, very excited and a little upset, personal ego-wise, to say that Fuse is in the Apex Legends meta. And if you didn't know what you were watching, you were seeing a wombo combo happen from basically the perfect setup of Fuse. A Fuse ultimate as well as a missile swarm from Valkyrie right here. And eventually you will see a defensive bombardment go up from the Gibraltar in the area where they are now forced to stay. This is a new development, and it brings me back to the video that I made last week. Thank you guys for watching and supporting that. It's got over 52,000 views. It's a really well-supported tier list. Thank you so much for the likes and the subscribes on that. But we made some mistakes, and I'm here to correct you and tell you the 3 legends and why have shifted in terms of priority. Now, what you're watching here is a Super League Arena, which is a separate finals outside of the ALGS ICAST. And it is with all the best teams, though. So NRG, TSM, Cloud9, Complexity, CLG. You're going to see all these teams competing in Super League Arena. So it's essentially the same level of competition. However, there has been a new development as we have seen Fuse not only represented once, twice, but 3 times on 3 different teams and winners of not only second place in this tournament just behind third place, but we've seen Bangalore, we've seen Horizon, and we've even seen Loba in North America. This has been the wildest season yet in terms of the meta, and this is why it's changing. Pay attention. I'm going to tell you the reason why, and then I'm going to tell you how each legend fits into that reason to be valuable. And maybe the most interesting and obvious now that seems not obvious a week ago is Fuse. Fuse was put at B tier by me earlier this week. One of the reasons is that Fuse has had an issue being relevant in a meta on World's Edge, which is where every single legend has been played. But considering the last few weeks, we've now realized Storm Point, the newest map in Apex Legends, is a part of the competitive scene. The map has dictated a change in value for these legends. This will probably still be where World's Edge competitive lies, but in Storm Point, it is a much bigger map. Now, why does that matter? Why does the size of the map matter? Why does the variable slopes and the height that is there in many different terrain areas of this map that make it so different from World's Edge matter about legend choice? Well, it's spread out, it's harder to third party, it's harder to move quickly, and you're much more easier on the penalty side of things at getting caught out in no man's land, which we like to call a place with no cover and no way to get out of that zone. So open areas, there's a lot more of that. Pushing onto a team or affecting a team that maybe in World's Edge would be, let's say, 50 yards away from you. The equivalent in Storm Point would be 100 yards away from you. So how are you going to do that? It takes weapons like the triple take and makes them less effective because that sniper has bullet drop, and it takes the charge rifle and makes it even better because it is the only hit scan weapon in the game. So distance is irrelevant as long as your cursor is on top of an opponent. You don't have to deal with bullet drop from any of the other weapons, making it harder to land your shots. This is why Fuse has become better. Now, remember, Fuse has a couple of interesting passives that I want to note about. Fuse has struggled, with being effective with his abilities, people being able to circumvent his tactical, which allows you to do damage in a grenade cluster and stick there. And his ultimate has not really had a lot of value because there's so many other little buildings to hide in and places to move that you're not exposed, so that Ring of Fire can't really be, I guess, too deadly. Most people are willing to just avoid it, take a little bit of the damage, but don't really feel trapped as if there's nowhere else to go. Fuse in Stormpoint has a couple of things that make him very, very good. One, people obviously have a harder time reaching other people in this map. Fuse is the only legend who has longer distance on his grenades. So you can throw arc stars, ordinances, thermites, obviously grenades, longer than anyone else. Farther, excuse me. And that is actually a big deal on Stormpoint. Why? Because his level of impact on that team that's 50 yards away, that's the same as everybody else. But he's one of the only characters that can accurately throw something and impact a team 100 yards away in the same way. And that is one of the benefits of Fuse. The other thing is that his ability to lock down a team and poke is pretty much second to none. But why is that so valuable? Because teams aren't moving from, hey, point A, point B, or point C on a ring. If you notice this ring here and you see the wide open spaces, look at how exposed, look at how open all this area is. You know, if you're there, you're going to have to make a huge journey to get there or to get to this point, which is the next point in cover. It is not like there's a building there, a bridge here. There's a lot of wide open spots. And so his poke becomes that much more effective at really making sure an opponent pays for where they are, because they don't really have an option to move somewhere else quickly. That's why Ashe, with her ultimate phase breach going one place to the next, is so valuable in Stormpoint as well. But we've already got her as S tier. We knew that. Fuse pokes better than almost anybody. And his ultimate, as you'll see here as well, looking at this, really sets up a potential wombo combo with the Gibraltar. I like the way that Furia played it with the Gibraltar and with the Valkyrie, because the Valkyrie has great poke. The Gibraltar can finish people off when they're in these outside open places. They're forcing the Gibby bubble, but then they're forcing the Ring of Fire. So even if they have the Gibby bubble, they're still delayed there for a long time. And Fuse can knuckle cluster, Valkyrie can swarm, and it'll create a very deadly point of contact to where that team is, unless they have a phase breach, basically going to die. It's one of those only wombo combos that I think really works for Fuse, and it's one of the things that makes him so good in this season. So remember, Fuse is now going to be an A tier legend. I don't think he's an S tier because I don't think he's changed the landscape as much to say, well, you're out. But I do think that Bloodhound and Fuse in this meta are basically going to shift. I would probably put Bloodhound in a B, and I would put Fuse in an A, and potentially an S. So it's a very, very interesting thing. Start playing Fuse, start understanding on Stormpoint. Fuse's range, Fuse's poke is so valuable on this map that allows people who can do it better at range to do it better overall. The other legend that we have seen take a tremendous rise and kind of stay here, this is one of my spicy picks as well as this A, is Loba. Loba is a legend that has appeared over the course of Europe a very, very big amount of times, and I feel that North America has taken their sweet time trying to acclimate to why Loba should be used or not. Again, it kind of goes a little bit without saying why there's some value there. When you talk about looting, you talk about third parties, you talk about Loba's efficacy, you know, and people having to kind of hold their zones a little bit more. I think these final circles in Stormpoint open up a discussion around how difficult it is to make one call and then change that call. There is really too much open space to say, hey, let's play here. No, let's just play here. It's like all those spots, there's like 3 spots, and then there's just desert or water. And so it's not really like play spot 1 or spot 2. It's like, are we in the best spot or not? And Loba allows you to at least loot up from there with Black Market Boutique, get extra shield swaps, pick up weapons like Krabers when they drop out of the care package without leaving your spot. And I think that's just becoming more and more effective when people are really holding down that area more. Plus, she's got, you know, yes, a movement ability that with her translocation allows her to skip a little bit of damage while she's getting in and out of places. Having that invulnerability, at least while you're traveling, is a big deal. And they've worked to make it more consistent, worked to stop some of the bugs on that. So I think Loba is in the right spot. She's going to be a very valuable legend in the late game circles. Now, pay attention to these next two, because the one I'm going to talk about at the end may not make a lot of sense as to why they're being played, but it also may. You may think you have the answer. I don't think you do. But Horizon is a legend that in A could actually go to S. What you'll see actually here, the team that came second place in Super League Finals was none other than NRG. You see Team Liquid running the Loba here. Gilderson's had actually quite a good game. And you're going to see NRG Sweet, Nathan on the Valkyrie, Rocker on the Gibraltar, and Sweet on the Horizon. And they played a fantastic game. And they actually ended up almost winning the entire tournament here. If they had won this last fight, they would have been winners. But the point I'm making about why does Horizon fit that narrative of the open space? Well, the same thing that goes for wide open spaces, the same thing goes for high ground. There's a lot of rocks like this. There's a lot of buildings. I made a joke the other day about a zip line, I think, in the command center that it lasts so long you could do your taxes while you're zipping up it. I mean, you could get a girlfriend, right? You could go online, you could go on Tinder, you could swipe right, you guys can have a conversation, maybe even meet for lunch and come back saying this could really work out. This might be my one for the future, and you'll still be finishing your zip line. That's how big these freaking places are. But height means so much, and Horizon has quick, easy access for height, not just for herself, but for her team. And that is the difference. Having some type of height like this that Nathan, as a Valkyrie, even though he has the mobility, can use, that's the benefit that you'll see Horizon bring. And in Store Point, it's even more obvious. So Horizon, I thought she would be a legend that we'd see a lot. It's not only a legend that we're going to see a lot, she's going to be a staple of this meta. Now, the other team that they're fighting here is the last legend that I'm going to bring up to you. And you're going to see that this is a legend that people already have their mind made up about. One-way smokes for Bangalore. What's the drama? The drama is that if the Bangalore smoke is used in the right way right now, a Bangalore can see outside of it while still inside her smoke zone and fire at you while you're looking at what seems to be a cloud of smoke, not able to see the Bangalore yet. It's like a one-way mirror in a police drama or, a detective situation where you could see in, but the other people only see a mirror reflecting back to them. And that has been a very controversial piece. But is that why Bangalore is really successful here? Is that why we're seeing Bangalore have value? I'm putting Bangalore at the A tier because we not only saw her once, but we saw her 3 times out of the teams in this lobby, which is quite a big pick. And I think it has to do with 2 things that we're not considering. 1, movement on a map like this is extremely valuable. So you talk about the Bangalore smokes and the one-way thing. Okay, cool. And maybe in ranked lobbies, but your character has to do more than just be a solo character when they're in ranked. And what is the value of this? Well, rotation ability. She naturally has more movement capabilities in these open spaces than other legends with her double time passive. Being able to get in and out of spots with that passive when getting shot at, not even having to be hit, is a huge part of what brings Bangalore to the forefront. But another thing, as you see here, Torrent running Bangalore as well, is, and this is maybe the most important thing, cover on the go is something that this map desperately desires for players to be able to traverse those open spaces, because undoubtedly in Storm Point, it will happen. She's going to move faster, and she's going to have 2 smokes to create cover for you and your entire team, whether it's just holding that zone or whether it's just blocking off the vision of another team that is holding a spot that they're clearly not going to give up, but now is covered in smoke and won't be able to shoot out of it while you rotate or maybe play a little bit more open ground. And that is where the value is for Bangalore. She can play open ground zones that might be lacking cover and create her own cover for her team. Her ultimate, Artillery Strike, let's not forget about that too. It is a big ult. It covers a wide swath, and in a map that is based on a lot of size and space, having ultimates that affect larger spaces is a benefit too. This character synergizes really well in a map like this and outshines a lot of other slower, maybe more methodical or set-up legends that might have been in the meta previous, such as Caustic. And in my opinion, I think Caustic, because of that conversation that we just had right now, is actually dropping down to B tier in this meta. It is a very interesting change, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and are caught up on the 4 legends and why they are now a huge part of this Apex Legends scene. And leave a like if you like the video, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Did I miss something? You think somebody else is going to make a change? Let me know. I'm so excited. ALGS starts very, very soon. As always, guys, subscribe. Help us on the road to 400K. Never give up, never stop gaming. I will see you all next time.